Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Michael. It is Friday. I haven't done a video. I didn't get to do one last week. I apologize. A little busy last week. And so, anyway, I just wanted to say go Texas Longhorns. They beat OU this year. And I'm looking forward to beating OSU, hopefully, and we'll get beat both of them. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it. I was up fishing in Michigan. Me, Chris, and David, we went fishing. They invited me to go fishing, salmon fishing, and then we had a ball. I really enjoyed that. It was something I'd never experienced. But unfortunately, on the way back, as we were coming home, there had been a motorcycle accident, and a man was down. And this message really is dedicated to him. It's dedicated to his girls, his family. He had 3 girls and family, and I want to dedicate this message to them, more so to glorify God and to glorify what God stands for. So, in that accident, when we rendered help, I am very thankful that the last thing that Danny heard was people praying for him, and the words Jesus, Jesus, Jesus were the last words that Danny heard. And so I am very thankful for that. I'm thankful that that was the last thing he heard before he went home to be with the Lord. And so I ask that you pray for the girls and the family. Keep them in your prayers. Keep them lifted in your prayers as they deal with this storm that they're going through, and ask for God's comfort in their lives. So first illustration is going to talk about reflections. And so yesterday I ended up going up to Missouri for his celebration of life. His job, he's from Michigan, I believe, but he had a celebration of life there. And so this video is really dedicated to them, dedicated to Danny. And again, I didn't know him personally, but he was an amazing man. From what I heard and from what his family, spoke highly of him, his friends, his students. He was just a great guy, a great family man, and he really loved his daughters and his family. And so this message is dedicated to you, Danny. This first illustration is talking about reflections and how in order to have a reflection, you have to have a light source. There has to be a source. And so God is our source. As a Christian, God is our light source, and that's where the light comes from. And we just reflect what God's love is. We reflect what God's kindness is. We reflect what his goodness and his mercy. That's the stuff that we have to reflect in the world, because he's our source. He is the light source. We are just reflections of him. And so as Christians, as people, on this earth, that's what we're supposed to do, reflect those things. And so the irony of that is, when the accident happened, there was a cone kind of by Danny, one of those construction cones. And so the scene wasn't secure. So I grabbed that and I kind of ran down a little ways, and I started kind of waving people to the left side of the lane. And so when it was all said and done, I got back, Chris and David pulled up, and I jumped in the truck. I put that cone in the truck because it was all beat up. It looked like it had gotten hit way before Danny got there. It was just laying there, but it just happened to be right there where Danny was. And so it got me to thinking later that evening when I took out the cone out of the truck. I really didn't, I know it sounds weird, but I thought maybe I could, give this to the family, just as a, I don't know, memento. I just don't know. I wasn't really processing it, but anyway, so one thing about those cones, they reflect light. They have reflectors on them. And so the irony of it is they're used to reflect light so that you can see the cone there. And when your light from your headlight flashes on it, you can see it. And so again, that proves you need a source of light in order to be a reflection. We are the reflectors. God is the source of the light. And so yesterday I drove up to Missouri for his celebration of life, and it happened to be in Springfield. He worked in Springfield, I believe, and so he was actually from Michigan, I'm sure, And so as I'm sitting there listening to the speakers, all I hear are just reflections of how good this man was, and how kind he was, and how he touched people, and he was a instructor, CDL truck driving instructor, and all the people that were in there basically, were a reflection of people that he touched. So Danny was a reflection of all those things, and he touched all those people. And as they continued to talk about him, I just realized how good of a man he was, how much of a family man he was, and he reflected all those things that God wants us to reflect. And so that's the first message. The first message is, please, what are you reflecting? Think about, what are you reflecting? Are you reflecting kindness? Are you reflecting God's love? Are you reflecting goodness? All those things are so important for this world, for your family. Those are things that we have to reflect. God wants us to be a reflection of Him in His image. And so those are the things that we need to focus on. And so carrying on, one of the other things, this is the second illustration. This illustration basically is the illustration of a pond. Just think of a pond, and it's just very still, stagnant, very still. Close your eyes and just think about a pond. And it's very, very still. It's not moving. And picture grabbing a rock, and you throw the rock in the middle of that pond, and it creates waves. As it hits, it creates waves. And slowly you watch each wave make it to every corner of that pond. No matter where you throw the rock, it will touch the pond, and every wave, every ripple will touch every corner of that pond. And so that illustration that I thought of maybe months ago is so relevant today, so relevant like with Danny's life. Danny touched so many lives. Just sitting there, and I'm sure he has an actual celebration for life tomorrow, this weekend, I believe, in Michigan. And I can't imagine how many people will be there. But the people that were in Springfield last night, I mean, I could see the ripple effect that he had on people's lives. So many people there. And so take that home with you. Just think about, what kind of ripples are you making? Are you throwing yourself out there? Just picture you being at the edge of this pond, and it's still, it's stagnant, it's not moving. And you step into that pond, and the ripples that you make by stepping into that pond slowly go out to the other edge of the pond. You made those ripples. You made that happen. You stepped into the pond and you disturbed everything about that pond. That's the way we're supposed to be out in the world. We're supposed to step out into a dark world and be light. Start those ripples. Make those ripples touch every corner of your job, every corner of your life, every corner, every place you walk, at the church, at the school, at the store. You be the ripple. You be the one that starts with kindness, with love, with goodness. You make the difference in someone else's life, like Danny did. He made such a big difference in so many people's lives. You have to think about that stuff. And I want you to know that it starts with you. It starts with you. You create an action by stepping into that pond. Step into the world. Step into the darkness, because you are light. God is your light source. Reflect that light. Make sure you're making ripples. Make sure you're touching people's lives. Man, that is what God wants for us. I love you. God bless you. I hope you get something out of that. You make the difference. You are this rock. You are this pebble. It starts with me. ISWM. It starts with me. Starts with me. Starts with you. Get out there. Be like Danny. Touch as many lives as you can. Again, I love you. God bless you. Cherish your family. Cherish those you love. Don't take anybody for granted. Make sure that you take care of each other and make the reflections that God wants us to make. So I want to leave you with this question. What are you doing with the time you have left? What are you reflecting with the time you have left? What are you reflecting? Are you reflecting God's light? Are you reflecting the things He wants you to reflect? Like Danny did? Secondly, what kind of ripples are you making? What kind of ripples are you creating in the world around you? Are you touching lives? Or are you just sitting there stagnant? Or are you like Danny, touching each life, one life at a time? Sometimes more than one life at a time, making a difference in their lives. Are you making ripples? Are you being a reflection? It's time for you to take time to be the light God created you to be. Reflect that light and create ripples. It starts with you. Get out there and change some things in your life.